All right, guys, today's date is February 6, 2018. I wanted to go over a couple things that happened in the market last night, and one thing that I mentioned in the chat room, and also I want to go over a CRT that set up in the Asia session at around 11 p.m. last night. So what you're looking at here is a picture of the dollar-yen chart. You're going to notice a bottom down here at right around 108.50. At the same time, you had some bottoms formed on the other yen pairs, which is going to be the odd yen down here. You got the CAD yen that created a bottom down there. Swissy yen basically created a bottom down there. Again, the euro yen created a bottom down there. Pound yen created a double bottom, came back down a second time around to retest, but that created a bottom down there as well. New Zealand yen definitely created a bottom down there, and that thing's really been taken off. And then, of course, you've got the dollar yen, which created a bottom down there. So you're probably noticing that there was a couple different CRT trades that you could have played. The dollar yen was definitely one of them. That was a textbook CRT trade. The market was coming down somewhat violently, and those are typically not the kind of CRT trades I want to take because that definitely adds a bit of risk to the equation, but nonetheless, it was a CRT trade. The other one, again, was the euro yen, which came down to a CRT level. Again, textbook CRT trade. Again, violent reaction off this top up here, so it's really coming down pretty hard. That definitely makes it a bit more dangerous. Also, you're going to see CAD yen reverse. Was there a CRT level? No, there was not a CRT level. Odd yen, there was not a CRT level. So again, some of those had CRT levels, others did not. Looking at the pound yen, if you took it off the pound yen chart, you probably would have gotten stopped out. As far as the euro yen, that would have been fine. You would have made money on that one. Dollar yen, also fine, would have made money on that one. So why would you take the euro yen or the dollar yen versus the pound yen? Well, first of all, you have to realize that most of the big banks and institutions are trading odd dollar, euro dollar, pound dollar, New Zealand dollar, dollar yen, dollar CAD, dollar Swissy, all those pairs. So anytime you are looking at taking a CRT or any other type of trade, this is especially true when I'm trying to get market direction on a set of currencies, or currency pairs. So what I will do is I will take a very close look at what the major is doing. For example, if I am seeing a potential bottom being created on several yen pairs, before I take that, say let's say we're looking at taking the euro yen. Before I take a trade on the euro yen, I need to see where the dollar yen is at. If, for example, like let's take a look at the pound yen now. The pound yen, this right here was the CRT level. This is a solid, well, not really it's not a great CRT trade level. You know the formation, it's a V bottom, and those are not good CRT formations to take. But nonetheless, it was a level. These are the kinds that I do stay away from, but nonetheless, it was a level. But would you take this as a long? Take a look at the time down here. The time was, you probably can't see it on the screen, but it was 21. If you go back to the dollar yen, where was the dollar yen at 21? Or it was right here, which was this far away from support. So in the back of your head, you should be thinking, okay, if the dollar yen is not at support, but the pound yen is at support, if the dollar yen goes to support, unless you see a lot of pound strength coming into the market, I'm probably going to see drawdown or stop out on the pound yen. So that would probably tell me maybe I shouldn't quite yet get into the pound yen. Maybe I should abstain from that. Now, if you look at the euro yen, when we hit the bottom down here, the bottom on dollar yen was at 4. This is 4. They correlated. They were at the same exact time. So that would make me feel safe about getting into the euro yen, but I would not feel good about getting into the pound yen because the dollar yen was right here, this far from support, when the pound yen was setting up. But you might say, well, what if pound sees a lot of strength and the dollar yen continues to drop? Well, in that case, you're probably going to see a bottom formed right here and it will bounce. However, what time of day was it? This was 21, which would have been early on. I think even, let's see here, it is about 2, which is 9 p.m. So yeah, you're talking before the Asia session even began is when this set up. So you have to ask yourself, does the pound make violent swings in either direction before Asia session? Not really. It's extremely rare. So for that reason, you probably wouldn't want to get into this trade because, again, remember, if you're trading a currency in the Asia session, remember it's the odd, New Zealand, and yen pairs that are going to move the most. So if this does indeed bounce, guess what? It's going to be because the yen pairs are bouncing because banks are selling the yen, which is taking up the price of the dollar yen, the pound yen, the euro yen, the franc yen, the odd yen, and all the others. So you really need to make sure you're looking at correlations like this before you take a trade. It will stop you from getting into some trades. It'll stop you from taking some losses. Again, the best ones to stick to are the majors, but obviously a lot of times you're going to get some setups on the ones that are not majors, and that's fine. But just make sure you're looking at the other currency pairs like it to see where those guys are located, especially the majors like the dollar yen, dollar CAD, New Zealand. Because again, remember, those are the ones that the big banks are trading. The big banks really are not doing, I can't say that they're not trading things like Euro odd or Euro New Zealand or CAD yen, but I'm assuming that most of these banks are not touching those because the banks tend to tend to stick to the majors. So that's why you really have to watch what the levels are and what's going on with the majors, because that's the ones the banks are very much focused on. I've spoken to different institutional traders, and they have all told me the same thing, that they are trading the majors and they are not trading synthetic pairs. Synthetic pairs are pairs like the odd New Zealand, the CAD franc. These are not real pairs. What they do is they take the value of the odd, they take the value of the New Zealand, they divide the two values out, and that gives you the odd New Zealand chart, and it updates every microsecond of the day, creating your odd New Zealand chart. So you definitely want to make sure you're watching your majors, see where those are at, and I promise you the cross correlations, and if you watch the different currency pairs, it is going to definitely take your win rate up. It has taken mine up quite dramatically. Before I get into any trades or before I look at my bias and try to figure out where this market's going, I always check all of the pairs. For example, we had a CAD setup not too long ago, and I said, you know what? It looks like CADs are about to make a reversal. So what did I do? That was based off of what I was seeing on the dollar CAD. I looked at all of the CAD pairs to see what they were doing. Some of the CAD pairs were saying one direction, and some of the CAD pairs were saying the other direction. When I see that, I know there's some indecision in the market, and so I usually step away and do not trade those pairs. On the contrary, if I look at all of the CAD pairs, and all of them, or maybe all of them except one, are saying the exact same thing, guess what's about to happen? It's probably getting ready to pop or make its reversal or make whatever move that I think it's going to move. It's kind of like last week. I looked at all of the dollar pairs, and there was a lot, and I do mean a lot of things saying that the dollar was getting ready to reverse. So what did I do? I took the two best pairs that looked like they're getting ready to reverse, which was the odd dollar, the top right up here. So I took a short up there because, again, it looked like dollar strength was coming in. And I also took the USD NOK right down here, which looked like there was some strength coming into that. So I got in down here, and I exited at the very top right up here. Not a really big move, but there was a slight bit of drawdown on this, and I made quite a bit on the odds. So I said, you know what, forget it. I'm getting out of this. So because it was acting a little bit weaker than what I wanted to. So, but again, a lot of the pairs, pretty much all the pairs, USD MXN, it was coming into levels that said, hey, this may be looking for a reversal. The dollar yen was coming down into levels that said, hey, it's getting ready for reversal. Dollar CAD was coming into major support. Didn't quite tag it, but it was coming into major support. New Zealand dollar, we were coming into some magnificent levels up here on New Zealand dollar. The pound dollar didn't really see a lot of resistance up there. Same thing with the euro. But again, all the rest of these, especially a lot of these exotic pairs in the dollar, they were all giving me a clue that maybe the dollar was getting ready to reverse. So since so many of these pairs said dollar was probably getting ready to pop, I wanted to take advantage of this, so I grabbed some USD and OK, and I grabbed some odd USD because they looked like the two best dollar pairs. But again, all of that was due to correlation and just looking at the different pairs and what I was seeing in the market. So if you're seeing the same thing on several pairs, then guess what? It's probably going to do what you think it's going to do. So I would definitely make a habit of looking at all of the other pairs when you're looking at taking a trade, and especially watch the trade or the pairs that are associated with the dollar, which would be the odd USD, the euro USD, the pound USD, the NZD USD, the dollar CAD, the dollar yen, and the dollar Swissy. I even watched the dollar MXN and the dollar NOK. So make sure you're checking and watching for all those correlations. Also, I wanted to go over the euro yen last night. Or well, right now I want to go over it, but I want to go over a setup that appeared last night. I did mention this on the Facebook chat, the free chat, if you are a member of the group. Hopefully you're in there, but if not, hopefully you'll get in there. But the euro yen, if I see something really, really nice sometimes, I'll try to point it out. But the euro yen, first of all, I was looking at the 4-hour time frame, and what I saw was a first touch / coral setup. If you're familiar with what's in the course, you know that these are two of the biggest deals for me when it comes to trading as far as indicators. I want to see price more than anything, but sometimes if I see a unbelievable amount of confluence with the indicators and just different things I'm looking at, then sometimes I'll take a trade off this. Now, this is not something I took, but I did point it out to the group, and there were some people that took this, and this thing did drop 120 pips, literally to the pip when I called it up here. So, but let's take a look at the confluence on this, because if you can find areas like this, it's definitely going to increase your win rate, especially if there is a level involved, and I cannot stress that enough. But in this case, again, we had confluence of the first touch of the upper band, which about 70% of the time, if not greater, maybe even 80% of being conservative, they will reverse off of a first touch. You always have to watch the first touch, especially on higher time frames like the H4, the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. So it was not only a first touch here, but it was also the coral, which makes it even stronger. And again, confluence of the two gives us probably about an 80% win rate alone. But if you go to the other time frames, was there anything on the 1 hour saying this is about to reverse? Not really. So you go down to the next time frame, the 30-minute. Was there anything on the 30-minute saying we're going to reverse here? Absolutely there was. You have the 800 period moving average. Additionally, you have the coral. And if you look, price has been respecting the coral over and over, so it's more likely to respect it now. Now, if price was blowing through coral like crazy and not respecting it, guess what? It's less likely to respect it. So 30-minute, you had double confirmation on the 30. You had double confirmation on the H4. And then on the 15-minute, you were very close to the 800 period moving average, which again stops price. And you can see it stopped it over here. If you go back through history, you're going to find the 800 is a very reliable moving average, and you get a lot of reversals or bounces off of the 800. So the 800 was probably about to hold price back. Also, you can see the THV was incredibly overbought. We were super overbought on stochastic as well. Even on the 30-minute, you were very overbought here. You were very overbought on the stochastic, even on the 30-minute. So it was definitely due for some kind of pullback. So I did mention this level right here, right at the top. And I said there is an unbelievable amount of confluence here, and I will be, quote, very surprised if price does not reverse here. So I know there were a few that took it, and this thing did drop for many, many hours all the way down to here, almost retested this bottom. This would have been a structure level, by the way. So this thing almost came down to the structure level. Didn't quite make it. If it would have came down here, that would have been a phenomenal day trade, but unfortunately didn't quite make it down there. But we did pull back 120 pips, so that was quite a pullback. So you could have made up to 120 pips on this trading setup. So I just want to go over that again. Always, 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 always remember price action is most important where price is at. Not only that, but the momentum behind the price you have to pay very, very close attention to. But I do keep in mind what is going on with the coral and the bands, because as you can see, the market respects the bands very, very well, especially a first touch. So please make sure you are watching the bands, make sure you're watching the coral, because a lot of banks are trading using this. This is similar to the 55 period moving average, by the way. So a lot of banks are trading based off of that. So please make sure you're watching these. But again, I just want to show that because there was incredible amounts of correlation on that. Anytime you can find that. In fact, every week when we do the premium group, when we go over in the webinars a lot of the trades that set up and some of the things that I'm watching, it is unbelievable to me how many times we'll see, like for example, we'll see a hit of the coral on the 4-hour time frame, maybe price is pulling back to the coral, and then you go to the daily time frame and you'll see it's the lower band. It happens all the time, and you'll see bounces there, you'll see reversals there, some of them very dramatic. But I mean, it's really unbelievable. So anytime you have, especially in the higher time frame, confluences of the coral and the bands on differing time frames, or even the same time frame, you have to pay very close attention to those levels, because those are where you're seeing a lot of the reversals. I mean, it is incredibly accurate how many times these reversals happen when it's on higher time frames and on multiple time frames. So make sure you're watching for that. But I just want to go over that because I did mention that in the chat room last night, and I want to make sure everybody understands that in case there were some unanswered questions as to why I was looking at the euro yen. And of course, I want to go over correlations because learning how to correlate the market together has been a very big help for me, and I think it'd be a very big help for you if we can just study that and really, put your focus on that. So, because whatever you put your focus on is going to grow. So, anyways, until next time, guys, have a great week. Be very safe out there and be profitable as always.